So in chapter 5, we're going to talk about what occurs with children in early childhood. And we're going to talk about children ages 3 through kindergarten. And there are a couple of things that occur in terms of social cognitive skills during this particular age that really make us uniquely human in a lot of ways. First is the ability to reflect on our own actions, to stop and think about what we're doing. And the second, which is an essential key to any sort of social interaction with someone else, is the ability to read the mind of others, to build the ability to understand what somebody else is thinking. And coupled with that comes a skill that most of us would probably think of as being something that is not desirable, but in fact, if you look at nature in general, it happens throughout nature in many, many different ways, which is the ability to lie, the ability to not tell the truth. And of course, most of us work hard through most of our lives trying to be careful that we are always telling the truth, or we're finding ways to be truthful and honest with people without being harmful or hurtful. But it first begins with learning how to read the mind of others and interpreting what it is that they think and what we wish would happen in that situation. So let's review a little bit about some stages, personality stages that occur so far. We've reviewed these in the last chapter, but it never hurts to go over them again. So Erik Erikson, stage 1, basic trust versus mistrust. This is birth through age 1. At this particular point, children are totally dependent on others. They need the caregiver to take care of them, specifically to feed them, and are to help them. So if the child cries, then the caregiver is going to come. If the child makes that hungry cry, caregiver is going to bring food. And if the caregiver meets the child's needs, then the child develops a sense of trust in the caregiver. And if the caregiver does not meet the child's needs, doesn't come, leaves the child to cry, leaves the child in a wet diaper, doesn't feed them, doesn't come when the child cries, then the child develops a mistrust in the caregiver. And this sets the stage again for how we view the world. So if we've learned, according to Erikson, if we've learned early on in life with the earliest relationships that these are people who are going to help us, then we begin to see the world as being peopled with individuals who will help us. If, on the other hand, if in our earliest relationships people did not help us, they were not there, they did not care for us, then we are more likely to go and view the world in general as being a place that's not going to be trustworthy. These are children and adults who typically will say, I have to do it all by myself. I can't depend on anybody. And if you think about that, think about how that's going to have an effect on the relationships that you choose to have in your life. If the earliest relationships in your life are ones that were not trustworthy, will it be easy for you to meet someone, whether it's a romantic relationship or just a friendship, and to be able to say, I trust you. I think that you're going to listen to me. I think that you're going to help me out if I need help. I think that you're trustworthy in the sense that I can tell you information about myself and you'll keep it to yourself because you're interested in helping me. So you can see it's a very, very important stage. Erikson believed that the basic strength that we have at the end of stage 1 is hope. And it's the hope that our desires will be satisfied no matter where we go in life, and a feeling of confidence that people will be there to help us. So stage 2 is autonomy versus shame and doubt. This coincides with Freud's anal stage, because this is the stage in which children are working on mastering elimination and other motor skills. And caregivers have to be very careful about how they manage that. In fact, toilet training can be a very difficult stage for a lot of parents and a lot of children, in part because there are a lot of parents who simply don't know what they need to do. For those of you who are interested in this, there is a book written called Potty Training or Toilet Training in 24 Hours. It's based on the behavioral principles. The point it makes is that instead of thinking of this as being a terribly complicated time, this is actually much easier than most parents think that it's going to be. It'll be easier for girls than it is for boys. And the process of this is taking it step by step and arranging it. So in the book Toilet Training in 24 Hours, one of the first things that you do with the child is you get a potty chair that they can sit in themselves. You put as much of this under their control as you can. The second thing you do is you say to them, we're going to learn today how to be toilet trained, because this is what big girls and big boys do. And then the third thing is you get rid of all the toys, all of the other things that could be distracting, because we're going to focus on toilet training. And then once you do that, then you give them juice or water. And of course, what you want to do is you're working to the point of filling their bladder up so that the child will have an urge to urinate. And then once you do that, you have to be with them. You don't wait because they don't know what that urge means. They don't know what that feeling is. That means I've got to go to the bathroom. And so in this process, you will go and continually say to them, do you think you need to go to the bathroom? Do you feel like you need to go, whatever word you use in your family, go potty or whatever. If the child doesn't understand that, but then goes to the bathroom anyway, urinates, then without being on the potty chair, then you can have a little conversation about that. Do you remember that feeling that you had? Do you have that feeling again? And so then you would give them more juice, and then you would help them to understand what that feeling means, and then encourage them to sit on the toilet seat, the potty chair, and to urinate. Of course, most of you know what behaviorists would do. If you do the right kind of behavior, you're going to say to the child, good potty. You don't say good job. You say good potty or good toilet or good bathroom, whatever, or good pee-pee, whatever term you use in your family to understand this. You want to make it as easy for children to understand as they can. What you can also do is you can give them some primary reinforcers. You can give them some M&Ms or peanuts or something that they like that will be good for them. Always works well with children. And then you do this process again. You give them juice again, and you're focusing a lot of attention on just the two of you and this process of understanding that I need to use the bathroom. And then you're asking them again, do you think you need to go? You give them a little, you're not asking them like every 2 seconds, but you're giving them a little bit of time, and then you're asking them again, and you're staying with them in that process. And then when the child identifies that they have to go, you take them back, you have them sit down on the potty chair, they go again, you praise them for doing that, you give them some primary reinforcers, and this process, according to the behaviorists, would be toilet training in 24 hours. You can toilet train your child in 24 hours by following behavioral principles. I hope that what you've seen in this process, as I've described this to you, is this third point, that you don't demand too much. You let them perform tasks of which they're capable, and if they make a mistake, if the child doesn't let you know in time and wets their pants, you don't make fun of them, you don't ridicule them, you don't call them a baby, you don't do any of those things. None of that's going to be helpful, because it's going to give them a sense of shame and doubt. And what you're hoping to increase for the child is a sense of autonomy. I can do this myself. I understand this. And if you do that, then you will leave them with this basic strength of will, which is I can exercise freedom of choice. I can make these decisions for myself. I can say I need to go to the bathroom, as you might say to mommy or daddy, or when you reach the age that you are, you don't have to ask people. You just know I've got to go, and I go. And the third stage is initiative versus guilt. This is ages 3 through 5. And this is when children begin to take initiative in the activities that they're going to be doing. And one of those activities that often for children is the activity of dressing and making decisions about what they want to wear. And if you you can give children the clothes that you want them to wear, and that's good. But an activity for helping them to develop independence and planning and undertaking activities is allowing them to make some decisions about the clothes that they're going to wear. And you can have conversations about that, because those are conversations not about clothes as much as they are conversations about decision making. Why did you decide that? How did you decide that? What's your thinking about there? You're getting them to focus a little bit on their thinking. And so now you don't want to send your child off to school wearing things that look like they don't have a mother or father at home who's helping them. And so one of the ways to give them this opportunity for independence in planning and undertaking activities is to give them three tops and three bottoms, three shirts and three pants or shorts, any of which would go with any of the other garments. So the child gets to make a decision, but you can rest assured that you're not sending your child off to preschool or Sunday school looking like they didn't have anybody caring for them at home. So it gives them a sense of that I can do this on myself. If you, on the other hand, tell them that you're not doing it right, that was wrong, then they're going to develop a sense of guilt about their decisions and their desires. And the purpose, the basic strength that Erickson would say that you're going to help develop in the child at the end of the stage. And of course, the making choices about clothing is just one example. You can do a wide range of examples. You can do things about making decisions about what food you want to eat. And again, helping them to make those decisions, giving them a range of foods that they can eat, letting them decide what they want to eat, and being curious with them about why you want to eat that and why you think that might be good. And so the basic strength of purpose is the ability to imagine and pursue goals, beginning with the basic goal of what will I wear to school or Sunday school today, and what will I eat for breakfast this morning. Some of the principles of physical growth are, and we talked about before, cephalocaudal. Cephalo, just to remind you, cephalo is from the Greek word for head, and caudal is from the Greek word for tail. And this is an example of that here that you see. You would expect children to be able to move their upper body more easily first and their lower body. By the time the child is riding a tricycle at the speed that this child is riding a tricycle, they've mastered a lot of those skills, the lower body skills. There's also mass to specific principle. So you can do mass would be, again, what this child is doing here, using large muscle groups. And specific would be what these children are doing here. They're turning pages, they're pointing, they're using their fingers to point pictures at different things in the book. Putting together puzzles would be an example of specific principle. Think about the skills involved in putting together a jigsaw puzzle. Putting those pieces together, of course, with young children, you're not going to start with small piece jigsaw puzzles. You're going to start with larger pieces, but it's the same thing. Using your hands and your fingers coordinated to make those kinds of movements. There are two types of motor skills. There are fine motor skills and gross motor skills. Fine motor skills are the things that you would do. Writing your name would be a fine motor skill. Putting together puzzles would be a fine motor skill. Gross motor skills would be running. So you see over here, this on the right-hand side, this would be an example of gross motor skills, running and moving with using large muscle groups. And children will need help in both of these areas to be skillful in this. And some of the physical developmental milestones for children. So at age 2, you're looking, can this child pick up small objects with their thumb and forefinger? Using the opposable thumb is very important. Can they feed themselves with a spoon? Can they walk unassisted, usually by about 12 months? Can they roll a ball or fling it awkwardly? Can they do something with the ball? Can they project the ball? Ages 4, again, fine motor skills. Can this child cut paper in an approximate circle? Can they walk downstairs using alternating feet? That's alternating feet as opposed to take one step down, bring the other foot down, then take another step down, bring the other foot down. So using step down with one foot, step down with the other foot. And then catching and controlling a large bounced ball across the body. At age 5, can they print their name? Can they walk without, probably not stairs, but can they walk without holding on to railing? Can they toss a ball overhand with bent elbows instead of straightened elbows? And by age 6, you're looking to see, can they copy 2 short words? Can they hop on each foot for about a meter, which is close to a yard, but still holding on to the railing? Can they catch and control a 10-inch ball in both hands with arms in front of the body? Now, I want to remind you of something that we have already talked about, which is there's often a tendency for parents to believe that physical agility and physical development is some sort of indicator of cognitive ability. There's no strong evidence of that at all. So if you have a child who cannot do some of these these tasks here, I would not make the assumption that this somehow is reflective of their intellectual ability.